Hi, I'm Michelle Van Etten. Thank you for tuning in to Unstoppable Angels, where we talk about turning our pain into power and becoming unstoppable. Today, I have Brenda Leebre with us, and she is a transformational coach with a divine calling. Brenda, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Glad to be here and share with you and your audience.
I'm so glad you were here, and I want to talk about a lot of things because there's a lot that we have to cover. But let's go back. So, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I am from New Jersey, and I actually moved to Texas for a bit and came back to New Jersey. And yeah, I'm still here in New Jersey.
So what was it like growing up?
Oh, wow. Uh, it was a very disconnected uh, growing, disconnected from a sense of the different types of situations that I was experiencing as a child. As far as the age of like 7, when I was sexually assaulted by my father. And actually, I did not have any memories until the age of um, 38.
Wow, how do you deal with that? How do you? I have to ask this because that's something I know everybody's saying there. Wait, hang on. How did you 38 and you remembered? What was the event that triggered?
It was a car accident. I was struck by a truck and I was actually ran over my right leg. Didn't break a bone. Definitely that was a miracle. And I was a mom. At that time, I was a mom of 2 youngsters, 4.5 and 6.5. And so when I was struck, I was really thinking about, oh, I'm going to be fine in 2 weeks. Everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to be fine in 2 weeks. I'm going to be walking and back to normal. And it wasn't. The weeks turned into months. And then I decided to really seek out therapy because when my mind was struggling with being totally disconnected with what my body was actually capable of. And I was not being compassionate to my body because I just wanted to like go, go, go. And so when I was in that therapy, time in my life, I had a feeling like something else had happened to me. And I didn't know what had happened to me. However, I felt it in my body and I felt, feelings that you normally wouldn't have, like not liking myself, not really wanting to be intimate with myself, really avoiding everything possible in terms of being being attractive, being authentic, being who I am. And also, I started to have dreams and of seeing my father and I in arguing and like commotion, however, did not know what I was saying to him. And so I told my therapist, I'm not sure why this is all coming up. And she pretty much, agreed. I was like, I feel like I was abused or something happened to me sexually, and that's how it all started. And yeah.
So did your therapist take you through like exercises? Did you start to going back, because were there other signs? Were there things in your family life that weren't working out so well that you remember on a daily basis that might have triggered something else to kick in along the way? Because there's a lot of people out there. The reason why I'm trying to dig a little deeper here is I really want you guys to understand there are so many people who are living a split life. There's part of their past that they don't even know about. And it's a car accident. It's a burn. I mean, it can be the simplest of things and it can be the most complex of things that happen, but it's usually a traumatic event that will trigger all of this to start coming back. And when it comes back, it's not what you expect. It's so much more. It is the feeling, the smells, the emotions, all of it. And I'm sorry, I don't want to trigger anyone. And if I am, please, this might not be the episode for you. But when you're dealing with this, you have to know you're not alone. Mm-hmm. So were there other things that you noticed?
And now that you said, know that you're not alone, all my life, I felt alone. And despite that, let me just go back to answer your question. So domestic violence, I was born into domestic violence. Like, I thought that's the way people lived. My father was a very controlling, abusive individual with my mother. He controlled everything, what we ate, going to my grandma's house, spending time with family. He controlled everything, every single thing. And so at a very young age, I started to forget who I was. I mean, I was just starting to get to know who I was, but it was easier to forget who I was, for safety, to protect my mom, to protect my brothers, to keep things as much as possible in peace and not to trigger any situations for anyone. So I had all that load on me that I took upon at a very young age.
That was one of those things that I'm really sorry that you had to go through and take on at such a young age. It's hard. And I want everybody to realize, like, you're not alone at all. There's so many stories that are like yours. And I try to tell a lot of them. God put me on this earth basically to tell these stories because of the remarkable women and men that I've met. And their stories are different, but a lot of it is very similar, because to get to major success, you have to have gone through a lot. And if you think that there's a highway that you're going to get on and be able to get there quicker, go for it. I dare you, because that's going to be the road to nowhere. I mean, there might be a few people who figure it out earlier, but it usually doesn't work out like that. Yeah. So you're going, all right, you're having a horrible time.
I wanted to interject what you mentioned about the road. I mean, it's a true journey of, like, for instance, like, I had no memories all the way until the age of 38. So, and even after 38, I still had another level of, another level of journey up ahead. And so, as you mentioned, yeah, it's like, it's a different journey for everyone. And it's definitely a long journey, but very, very worthwhile and meaningful.
So you've gone through a lot while you were growing up, obviously. Did you go to college?
Yes.
All right. So you got your degree. Now you're getting into, we'll go back a little bit, because I'm going to take you back a little bit and take you forward a little bit in the process, because I know that when you don't have memories and they're starting to come back, was it just that time, or was your whole life up until 38 part of that same blur?
It was part of the same blur, because I actually did not have any, I haven't had any memories at all. Just until recently that I was able to find one memory. Yes, and it was with support. So we're talking about many years. And what that created was a lot of confusion and not knowing where I was truly standing, in a sense of authenticity, and how I was showing up. Because when your life is a blur, I was disconnected from myself, disconnected from others, avoiding pain and avoiding anything that made me feel uncomfortable or unsafe. And I came from I became a pro at being very defensive. I knew how to protect myself and my children.
I'm gonna make sure nothing happens. Yeah, I get it. It's usually what happens, right? We get defensive and we're like, come after my kids, I dare you.
Yeah,
That
protect.
will be the worst mistake you ever make in your life. You want to see a mama go crazy? That will be it. Yeah, I know that one all too well too. It's like, you don't go near my those are my babies. So you're gone to college. You're now working in corporate America.
Yes.
What kind of experiences did you deal with there, and how did you handle those experiences?
So in corporate America, if I had to think of a word that would describe that, it's the word trust. That's where I began to trust myself because corporate America is not a very welcoming, embracing, compassionate place. And so what ended up happening for myself is that like, I felt like I had to prove myself at all times. I really had to show all my degrees, my bachelor's, my master's, my certifications, licenses, and so forth. Education throughout my life was it was my escape. And then it was the proof, the evidence that I was worthy and that I mattered and that I get to show up powerfully because I have these degrees and I have this experience. So going back to being in the corporate world, I felt that I had to constantly prove that I deserved to be in the executive decision-making table as a woman, as a minority, and younger than everyone else in the team.
So I isn't that fun? I've been working at, I'm in network marketing, but I played at the tables a little bit bigger or a little different than some of the other people. I helped bring a company on board. And I think I'm the only girl in the company that brought a company on board. And normally it was like the guy in the front and the girl in the back. And then they, smile and, oh, I love you, honey. You're doing great. And the opposite, it was me. And so with that being said, I found out really quick how this doggy dog world was starting to play out. And I was like, I guess I got to play it like you do. And so I started to learn some of the tricks that they did, right? And I started to play it their way. And in a lot of ways, I don't know if that hindered my ability to be as authentic as I wanted to. And that's something that I think people need to understand is sometimes you end up playing a part that's not really your role.
Exactly. It becomes a performance. It becomes your watered down version of who you were born as and how God intended you to be. However, when you are in the survival mode, and I was I was in the corporate world for many years. It became from, wow, I am accomplished. I'm in my first, human resources position, all the way to being an executive where I was in survival mode by then because there were other situations in my life that had pretty much demanded me to stay in that environment, despite that I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I did not find it fulfilling. And it was like being re-traumatized over and over and over and over again, but it's done in a very discreet, diplomatic, and again, I'm human resources, so talk about ethics and so forth. So for me, that was, I would have to say that it was more traumatic for me because I was a single mom. And so that was the way I provided for my children. So I always felt like I have to like sacrifice and or I have to give up who I am. It's not creating both and it's more like I have to, it's one or the other. And so at that time it was the other, and the other was, I was not in it. I was not included. I chose that, providing for my children was more important than, and staying in that environment. Toxic environment.
What would you say was a turning point for you to decide that you couldn't do it anymore, that you couldn't do corporate America, that you had some other calling, something else in life that you were meant to do?
So that's funny you say that, Michelle, because what happened in the very last year, that I already saw, what was, the different games, the different, manipulation strategies, to be able to create profit and not really truly being there for the employees and so forth. Not me, but obviously, other administration. The God has a way of always working out for me, because at that time I was like, oh yes, I get to really look for another position with a better work environment and so forth. But I was working so many crazy long hours because, again, I also had to prove myself triple, as a woman, as a minority, and as a young looking person at that time. So
Wait, don't gloss over this, even though you didn't realize it at the time. A
yeah,
broken soul,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
that's
I really had to, I had to really disconnect. See, like, this is what the word disconnect. It's like I had to choose disconnection to remain being effective in my survival mode. I don't know if that makes sense. Like that
Mhm. Oh
way.
yeah.
Way. Because if I was connected, then I wouldn't be choosing that, right? Um, And so, as I was saying, God really exited me out. So what happened is another company for Amsterdam came in, bought the company, and then they started putting their people, and God exited me out. And at that time, I started to think, like, what's next for me? And I'm not sure if I want to go back to the corporate world.
Hold on. You glossed over something. You
Yes.
glossed over something huge.
Okay.
You said God exited you out.
Yes.
Did you get told you had to leave? Like, I mean, were
Yes.
you
He pretty much just started to replace their people. They replaced everyone that had high level decision making roles and put in their people.
how long were you in the company?
5 years at that time.
So 5 years, you're in a high level position, and all of a sudden, how many kids do you have?
Too.
Two children. You're not married, you're a single mom.
Yes.
Did they give you severance or did they just say, I'm sorry?
They gave me severance, but what is that? It's
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
it's
No.
not even worth talking about. But I was like, you cannot gloss over that. I mean, I'm thinking from people who have been here.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, you think you're secure, everything's great, your company gets sold, and the next thing you know, you're being told, hey, I'm sorry, but somebody else has your position.
Yes.
You have two kids, a house,
Yeah.
car,
At that time, it was an apartment because I was divorced by then.
but an apartment, bills, everything. What did you do?
Uh, so I started to think about what else was possible because I really did not want to go back to a toxic environment. So I began consulting, training and development, and that was wonderful. I began to do it, for myself. Different types of training and developments. Soft skills. I also worked with Rutgers University, their continuing professional education. And so we were contracted to, go to different companies and provide different staff development needs. And so, although I was, I had, at that time I chose, it was not toxic or anything like that, but I still did not feel fulfilled. I knew there was something else. And so I kept asking God, right? And that was in 2018. I was writing my journal, which I still have, and I found the other day, and I was asking, how may I serve? I really would like for you to guide me and show me how I will best serve you and this world. And so I started to become more involved in various trainings. I did Tony Robbins, I did Brandon Bouchard, and I was still not, there was something else. And again, I was going through my own stuff, right? Because I was very like going through my own trauma, going through my own healing, and still doing this the daily survival mode with my children. My ex was not a very easy person, very narcissistic, and that continued for 10 more years. Post divorce legal issues. So you can imagine how, it was like,
You got things coming at you from all directions.
exactly.
But God was the calm between, the calm and the storm, right? So you start asking him, like, how can I serve? How can I serve? What is my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And about 10 years later, he finally answered your question.
No. So in about, I would say, 4 years. No, 3 years. 3 years. So he was responding. He was giving me enough. But then, also, let's keep in mind when we are foggy or we are disconnected, we're not really truly open to ourselves and not open to what else is possible and what's around us, right? What is best, because we are in survival mode. We're in do, check box, and that doesn't work, right? And so once I went through a transformational leadership program, that's when we started to open up. I started to open up and started to see myself from within, my wisdom.
That's amazing. Just so you guys know, we went through the same transformational program, and I know that Brenda has taken this to a much higher level. So at this point, this is my favorite part. Everything we've gone through leads us up to where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
Brenda, where are you today? And what are you doing today that is so incredible? And how are you serving at a higher level?
So I launched my business, which I really see it as a calling from God, as a servant to serve. And I evoke women to free themselves from their self-limiting beliefs. So then that way they can really, truly arrive to their divine higher self. And then they'll be able to see all the possibilities that are available to them.
How do you evoke anyone? What do you do? Like, what's a way? Because I always like looking at it and going, hey, how can we give some really great practical advice?
Oh, sure.
In a way to invoke someone to see themselves as they should be, at their higher self.
And so, just as I have been blessed and fortunate to free myself, right? I've been able to really create a a coaching program along with a training and development that is like called the three domes of freedom, and it's the freedom alignment, which composed of three areas. Thoughts, habits, and actions. And so going through the freedom alignment, they're able to really align themselves to who they are at any point in life, and really truly show up the way they're intended to. So going back to your question is, it becomes with self-awareness, and then choosing, being open to creating something else, creating something that it is all within us, all within ourselves, and yet we're choosing to use it, to create it, to embrace it, good and the not so good, both.
To be it.
Be it, yes.
It's like we choose to be it. And that is a huge difference than going through life where it happens to you. I get to choose to be who I want to be. And how I want to see the world and how I want to show up in this world. And I'm so excited and thankful that you are here today. Let people know how they can find you. I know you have this new program that's super exciting. We'll definitely put a link for your program in the show notes.
And so it's called Freedom Through Wisdom. And it's wisdom, two parts of wisdom. The wisdom that we have experienced in our past, whether it's good or challenging or not so good, that is definitely all happening for us. So therefore, it's really, it's relevant and abundant, and it's not something that we say, oh, let's put it in the past, or let's leave it there, or that did not serve me, I don't want to go there. No, that's where all the goodies are. And the other part of wisdom is your divine wisdom in the relationship you have with, your divine, whether is, God or a higher authority. And then what we do is there is a coaching program, right, that I have and I offer, where women go through 4 pillars: clarity, courage, trust, and freedom, and will lead them to the freedom that they desire, the freedom that they want to obtain. And aside from, people think, oh, I'm just going to run from the trauma. I'm just going to run from my past because I don't want to be there. Actually, it's really going back to the past, using it as a rear view mirror type of, take a look at it and be aware of how certain types of events in our life experiences have created something in us, and then decide, where am I going to choose to continue being this way, or am I going to choose something different to create the intention that I truly want in life? And so that is where the power is. The power is to authentically create something differently and show up as yourself, not show up because of our brackets or self-limiting beliefs that we have, because obviously they do not serve us and they limit us from really creating what we want. What do we want as women? What do we want as mothers? What do we want as a community member in this world, in the corporate world, in our jobs, in our businesses? So yeah,
that is awesome. I always say, I'm like, that's awesome, because I meet so many amazing people, and I don't know, I'm like, I got to come up with better words, I guess. I don't know, but it's just so nice to be around so many authentic people who are living out their truth. And that is such a blessing. And you are a blessing to many. And where can people find you? Like, what is your website? What is your Instagram, your Facebook, all of that?
So it's Brenda Leebre. That is who I am. Libre comes from the word libre in Spanish, which means freed. I created that word to really authenticate who I am and what I represent and what my clients embrace and what they want to create, which is freedom. Who doesn't want freedom? So Brenda Leebre, I'm in Instagram. I am also Freedom Through Wisdom in Facebook. And so, yes, I will definitely provide you with the links so we can, Freedom Through Wisdom is a community. It's a community. It's not somewhere that you just go and look at pictures or motivational memes or anything like that. It's actually a community that I have created to be able to truly support, a safe place where we can truly support women such as ourselves and elevate ourselves. Be ourselves.
I love it. Being authentic to yourself is the most beautiful gift you can give yourself. Brenda, I want to thank you again for being on being on Unstoppable Angels. I'm like, oh, I just think it's so sweet. I love it so much as I can't even talk. I want to thank you so much for being here with us today on Unstoppable Angels. And you truly are an unstoppable angel. And I'm so grateful that I got a chance to speak with you today. And I know that our listeners will be looking for you and checking out your information. And I just want to say bye. Have a great day.